My name is Stephanie Poe. I have a PhD in immunology, and about 10 years ago now, I actually literally stumbled into teaching people about natural wellness, essential oils. And the reason that I'm here is honestly because I truly, truly fell in love with how powerful these oils were for myself and for my children in my home. And honestly, when I was working in a lab and getting my doctorate at the University of Pittsburgh, I worked in the critical care medicine division in the pulmonary and critical care, and also like allergies, like everything to do with inflammation, respiratory health. I was studying that in a mouse model. I had never heard of an essential oil. And essentially, when I would see women using them, I actually thought that it was just something, oh, isn't it nice that they think that that works? And when Rachel, my friend, I actually asked her to come teach me about oils, she handed me a textbook. And that textbook was full of peer-reviewed research studies about natural wellness, essential oils, the mechanisms by which they work. And I was literally blown away and so, so, so grateful to learn about it, but still skeptical. So I had to learn it by on my own and for myself. And I really tiptoed into it. So 10 basically when I started teaching other people how to use oils, I was really oils focused, oils first, because people can get an immediate response from them. And now working in the health industry for 10 years, I kind of take another approach now, which is realizing why is it that we're sick in the first place, and how do we not just like wake up every day and like reach for something to feel better, but how do we set up our life in such a way that we are actually dealing with the root cause of the diseases that are inevitably developing in our bodies? So that this PowerPoint in this class that I'm teaching is a result of kind of that new belief. So modern approach or a modern approach to medicine, which we thankful for, right? But the focus is, you guys know this, it's on managing symptoms. You go to the doctor when something's going wrong, and then they, try to figure out what's going on and then give you something to manage that issue that popped up. And that is a way that we deal with acute issues, and it's acute care. But all of us have these lifestyle things going on that kind of led us to get there in the first place. And I don't know about you, but I would so much rather be on the preventative side rather than playing catch up years from now. A modern approach, obviously, the drugs that we use are made from synthetic agents, so they're foreign to our body, and they have side effects because they're powerful. So they basically come in and like set off, good things if we, need to manage the symptom, but there are side effects, known and unknown. And here's the crazy thing. $6.5 trillion is spent every year on in our health system. And if you look around, I really want you to be honest with yourself, like what you're seeing from our society and, people that you're in relationships with, like, are we moving in a healthy direction because of that, or are we not? So the natural approach, which I'm an advocate for, really seeks to address the root cause of issues, not just manage symptoms. I love to equip people to use resources that God has given us in the form of food, water, plants, all of those things. Like the food that we eat truly is the most powerful form of medicine, or the like slowest form of poison, right? Everything we put in our body affects our body, how we feel that day, and also, what's happening for the long term. These natural tools that we've been given are actually really safe and natural, but they are powerful and they are effective. And so I do think that it's worth you guys, bringing some time into learning how to take care of yourself with them. And so I'm just so grateful for this. So one quick story that I want to tell you guys that really made this make sense to me, the modern approach versus the natural approach, is actually allergies or allergic inflammation. And it was one of the first research studies that I read about tea tree essential oil. So I knew from researching the immune system that mast cells are the cells of our immune system that actually release histamines. So we encounter something like pollen that our body doesn't need to react to, right? But it's like, oh my gosh, this is dangerous. It's not dangerous. Our body's just telling us it's dangerous. And so it starts releasing histamines. So we have the symptoms, right? Watery eyes, like itchiness, possible skin issues, respiratory complications. So these mast cells are secreting histamines. We take normally something like Claritin or Zyrtec, and those actually sit on the histamine receptors in our body. So we have all the histamines being produced, but they can't hit the receptor. Tea tree, the first study I read, actually said tea tree stops mast cells from releasing histamines. My mind instantly like exploded in a good way because it's truly the difference between histamine being there, the inflammation being there, and we're just not getting the symptom, but who else knows what's going on, and actually stopping the inflammation or the histamines before they begin. And so that's just one, I think, of many examples. And I hope that that helps it make sense. When I started to think that way about how I was taking care of my body, I felt like a whole new world opened up to me. So inflammation truly is good, okay? It's our immune system's response to injury or illness. So we need it. We actually need, when we have injury, we need our immune system to come in or an infection and attack the infection or heal the wound, right? But so many of us are actually suffering from chronic inflammation due to cortisol spikes in our body. So cortisol, when we encounter stressful life events, which we're all happening all the time, cortisol spikes. And if you think about the energy required when we're stressed to flee or fight, okay, cortisol's job is to turn off our immune response because it doesn't want to waste any energy on our immune system. The same thing happens actually to our digestive tract when we're stressed. Our stress turns off, our cortisol turns off our digestive tract because it's like, okay, we can't waste energy on immune response right now. We can't waste energy on digestion right now because we need all of our energy in our muscles and tendons and brain to flee or fight. And so that's what happens. So over and over again, when we have a cortisol spike, our immune system gets lowered. So that's temporary and that's good. But over time, when our immune system keeps being turned off, it not only loses its ability to respond, really, but it primarily loses its ability to turn off in the way that it should. So the strength of our immune system is how much it's able to respond and turn off. And we eventually end up losing that ability for it to turn off. And I really want you guys to understand that. So chronic stress, cortisol spikes, our immune system gets weaker and weaker and weaker to the point that it can no longer turn off, which is why we have chronic inflammation raging through our body in the form of joint pain and fatigue, headaches, sleepless nights, okay? Early menopause symptoms, like all of these things are a result of chronic inflammation. So Lorraine actually made this diagram, which I love, and it kind of shows how in all of these diseases that we experience throughout our body, inflammation is actually behind them all. So when we have inflammation in our thyroid, right, it can result in an autoimmune response. It disrupts our hormone balance. Inflammation in our liver means our liver can't, really get rid of toxins in our body as efficiently. And so it's strained and we get fatty liver disease or an enlarged liver, so on and so forth. So this is another one I want to point out just because so many of us are dealing with mental health things is that inflammation in our brain is actually results in depression, anxiety, memory issues. And a lot of times I think mental health, we don't tie it right back to inflammation, but inflammation is actually the root. So something I want to point out here is that in America specifically, our ratio in our diet of pro-inflammatory foods that we ingest to anti-inflammatory foods or fats that we take in regularly without trying is a 20-to-1 ratio of pro-inflammatory to anti-inflammatory. So unless you are supplementing and really making advanced efforts at eating an anti-inflammatory diet, we're just like treading water. It's like we can't. So it is just super important to think about. So again, this is redundant, but types of inflammation pop up as autoimmune disease, cardiovascular disease, chronic headaches, lung disease, so on and so forth. And toxic overload, right? I did mention the liver actually increases inflammation, because when our liver is burdened with toxins, it's overworked. And our liver is a really, really powerful organ for secreting and producing anti-inflammatory cells for our immune system. And so if it is overrun with managing toxins in our life and in our home, it can't do that job that it needs to do for the rest of our body. So the things that are toxic that we all probably have in our homes, at least varying degrees, medications that we take, processed foods and sugar. I know that my family over here, we are sugar junkies, not me in particular. I'm not, but the kids for sure. Personal care products, toxic cleaning supplies, heavy metals, mold. If you live in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of just like old wet basements around here. Fragrances. And unforgiveness is also listed there because I like people to think about the emotions that we are carrying too. So doTERRA, this company that I'm partnered with, put together these pillars, which I love because it provides us with a framework of how to navigate this for our own life. Because I think, honestly, it can be really overwhelming knowing where to start. And I can't just send people into the world like, go take care of inflammation, right? We have to have like a non-overwhelming plan. So these pillars, nutrition and digestion, our microbiome, which I'll talk about, truly is like the base of that. How much movement we're getting, how healthy our metabolic function is, not just from a weight loss perspective, but metabolism refers to our cells, each of the abilities to take in nutrients and kick out toxins, right? So we want a healthy, robust metabolism. The quality of our rest and how we manage stress in our lives, reducing our toxic load. And then these top two, I always like to, they're kind of at the tip top, but I like to point them out because the more that you're informed about how to take care of your body in the ways that work for you, you're able to make the choices, right? And you can be really proactive in your medical care, not just like, oh, this is what they told me to do, so I'm going to do it, right? So I feel like knowledge really is power. And so that's what we're trying to do here. So really quick, before I dive into a few other things, I just want to say the supplement industry is a complete mess. Okay. I sell supplements. The supplement industry is a complete mess. A study from by the FDA over about like 10 years, 9 years, detected contaminants in 776 dietary supplements spanning 146 different companies. 3 of them did not even contain the active ingredient listed on the label. There is no governing body like checking that what is in the bottle is actually in there. So if you're going to purchase supplements, I do not recommend Amazon unless highly, highly recommended by like a nutritionist or something. And you need to know the company and you need to have an experience. And that company better be scientifically grounded in doing its due diligence and have integrity from the top down. So all those things that I said, doTERRA has, but I just like to point that out. I also, people tell me all the time, oh, I'm just gonna like eat an anti-inflammatory diet. And because of the quality of our food today, I'm really gonna argue that it is pretty impossible to get the nutrients that our bodies need from the food today due to the soils being depleted, the amount of pesticides that we're encountering. And then like our food industry, I think pretty aware of that, is just becoming more and more of a mess, right? Not to mention eating perfectly in our homes is stressful. Okay. It's like, especially if you're caring for a family, not just cooking for yourself. And even if you're cooking for yourself, it's probably cheaper to be grabbing stuff. That's what, like, my days as a single mom, when I didn't have a husband to cook for, like, I was mostly eating out because it was actually cheaper. So the habits around these things are overwhelming. All right, something else that I did that has been helpful for me to understand is I looked up the 5 most common health concerns that humans encounter around age 40. And these are the 5: high cholesterol, high blood pressure, prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, acid reflux, and then depression and anxiety. And I looked these up as a result of a seminar that I sat through from the NIH. Okay, they were talking about this. They were talking about how we treat people from a whole health perspective versus just piecemealing it together. Um, and when I looked these up, I thought, if I keep telling people inflammation is the root, I wonder what the inflammatory link is for each of these. And believe it or not, I hope you guys believe it, inflammation is the root cause of every single one of these 5 health issues. Cholesterol is something that I am continuing to try to learn about, and it is really interesting to me because it is pretty misunderstood. So our liver actually produces cholesterol as part of a healthy repair mechanism. And our body needs to repair itself more and more and more when it has inflammation due to poor diet, stress, or toxins. Okay. And under those same conditions of poor diet, stress, or toxins, our like metabolic and microbiome crashes. And our microbiome, the health of it, is responsible for breaking down that cholesterol and eliminating it. So if you have inflammation in your body, you have more cholesterol being produced by your liver, okay, on purpose, and you have an inability to eliminate it efficiently. So inflammation is the root. And we're not going to take time to go through each of these. If you want the slide, I'm happy to share it with you, but it has been fascinating for me to learn more about that. Um, there are medications that are commonly prescribed for each of these health concerns. And when I thought, hey, let's look up evidence-based alternatives to those. And guys, here's why. The financial case that the NIH, it was actually a subdivision of the NIH, was making to delay medical or medication as the intervention by like 3 to 5 years, if possible. The difference in healthcare spending per person in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s is literally a difference of $800,000 per year, or 300,000. No, I think it's 800,000. Lorraine, do you remember? I can't remember the exact number, but it is a really, really high amount of money. And the reason is we get on these medications that have side effects that require more interventions, and a lot of them cause memory loss, so dementia, and then you need increased amount of like wraparound care sooner. So invest in your health now. It is financially more than worth it. Okay, more than worth it. My husband was saying how, especially in our 30s and 40s, we're all working so hard to save for that later time of our life, and we're not taking care of our health when the money that we save will just literally be like, it'll go in two years, okay, if we don't have our health. So we really need to be focusing on our health. So these evidence-based alternatives for each of these health conditions, guys, guess what? Dietary changes is number one, obviously, for each of them. And then I would say 99% of the specific things suggested are in the products that doTERRA has created for us. So this is making my job really easy these days, okay? It is this package foundational wellness solution. It is a once a day dosing model. And I started taking this in September. I've only missed, I think, 3 days since then. And it has made a huge difference in my life. Huge difference because I feel awesome on them from an energy perspective for sure. But also before this solution that doTERRA put together, their foundational wellness was a little bit more confusing, and it was more like a twice a day dosing model. And I would always forget to take the second dose or the first, or it just felt like a thing. So they've packaged it up that you can just take all of this at one time in the morning. It literally takes 2 minutes. And from a habit perspective, I personally, after years of battling inconsistency, have cracked the code on that for myself. And so now I'm just a little bolder of telling other people you can crack the code on it too. That QR code takes you to a Google Doc that is pages and pages and pages of information and studies listed on every single ingredient in here, why it's in here, etc. But it's 3 things, okay? It's VMG, that stands for vitamins, minerals, and greens. This is a whole food superfood blend, very bioavailable because it's liposomally encapsulated. All that means is our cells covered in, they have like a cell membrane that's fatty, can slurp it up super easily. It's recognized, so it actually gets in. And there's a little bit of probiotics in there too, which helps set your gut up for success for nutrient absorption. E omega is our EPA and DHA fatty acids and omega 3s. Also can't say enough about anti-inflammatory omega-3s. Inadequate amount of omega-3s is linked to depression. It's linked to postpartum issues. It's linked to wheezing and respiratory disorders. It's linked to increased incidence of cardiovascular disease. Basically, it's linked to all of these things. So we need to supplement with omegas. And then PB Restore is, I love the word, intelligent whole microbiome support. This is actually much more than a probiotic. It's a prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic all in one. It truly, truly sets our gut up for success. And you can't see a picture of it, but it is double encapsulated. So it actually won't, like the bacteria aren't released in your stomach. They don't need to be there. Our stomach acid just lyses them. It actually helps get it down into our intestines where our microbiome, the bacteria needs to be to teach our immune system how to behave, to give us good skin, to reduce inflammation in our body, all the things that probiotics do. So just a couple other things I want to mention about this VMG is that the vitamins are the B vitamins are already methylated. So half of us have an inability to really truly absorb B vitamins effectively, and because we struggle with the methylation portion, and these are already methylated. So that's why I think I might have that issue. I've never been tested, but I have a lot more energy on this than I did our other supplements. And then the liposomal delivery system again just helps everything get in. So 90 over 90 high quality ingredients. This is what it looks like. This is how you use it. You just put it in water. And actually, when you get started with it, they give you a free shaker bottle, which I use one of those coffee frothers. So I don't use a shaker bottle, but obviously it's an incentive to get started. It's super cute. And if you are like on the go to like for a commute for work, you can just kind of mix it up really quick before you leave the house and like not worry about slurping it all down right away. You can take it on your commute. So that's how you use it. So about fatty acids, really quick, 95% of Americans fall short. And again, 82% of fish oil supplements do not comply with the labeling claims. Signs you're not consuming enough healthy fats. There is a lot on this slide, but just going to name a bunch of stuff. So brain fog, mood swings, dry skin, mental fatigue, slower metabolism, which is interesting to think about that being linked to not enough fatty acids, memory issues, joint health, joint pain, vision problems, and more. So no matter how old you are, if you're experiencing any of these things, it is a sign that you're not consuming enough healthy fats in your diet. So this supplement is 2,000 milligrams of sustainably sourced wild-caught fish oil. It is truly, truly a superior product. And there's wild orange in there, which is brilliant because it actually protects the fish oil from oxidation, so it's not rancid. And it also aids in getting it in to our bodies. If you pop one of these capsules in your mouth, you can see a picture of it there. It tastes amazing. So I'll give them to my kids and they just pop it. They don't have to swallow those whole huge pills. My 11-year-old can, but popping it is like no big deal. So I think that that's awesome. Something else that has been noticed in studies with this product is that your resting heart rate and blood pressure will reduce. So that means there's less burden on your heart and cardiovascular health on a regular basis when you have an adequate amount of omegas coursing through your body, which is awesome. So on and so forth. I'm going to skip that slide. Gut health. Guys, I have a whole class on this because I love the microbiome. If you don't think your microbiome matters, 90% of your feel-good serotonin is made in your digestive tract. So is your melatonin for sleep. Our immune system is taught to behave in our digestive tract by our microbiome. All the bacteria send little love taps to our immune system, and they keep saying, hey, it's okay. You're good. You don't need to respond to that pollen. You don't need to respond to that joint, right? All these autoimmune diseases that we're dealing with. Our gut health truly matters. This slide just breaks down a few more things that I don't think we all think about, okay? So if you live in the city, your microbiome is taking a hit every day. Foods that have artificial coloring in them are actually antibacterial and antifungal. So those are harming your microbiome.
Hmm.
Antibiotics are literally like necessary sometimes, but if they can be avoided, it's so good because they are like a bomb going off in your digestive tract. And it takes 2 years to recover from that in terms of the balance of the bacteria that make up your microbiome. Um, Pain relievers, like ibuprofen disrupt your microbiome. I didn't know that before this thing got put together. Sweets, processed foods, disrupt our microbiome, primarily because they feed the unhealthy yeast overgrowth. If your water is chlorinated. Also, one bad night's sleep also disrupts your microbiome. So it's like, it's just this like chicken or the egg, right? List of lifestyle choices that affect our gut health. And, I don't want you guys to get so stressed out with worrying about all of these things, but like little changes over time make a huge difference for the amount of inflammation in our body because of the health of our microbiome. So I feel it's really important to be supporting our microbiome through some type of probiotic. And the PB Restore is a really, again, I feel a superior product to the majority of what's out there on the market today. It's 18 billion colony forming units of helpful bacteria. The strains that doTERRA has chosen through research and testing to be included in this probiotic, they're just really expertly picked, honestly. And a lot of times probiotics are really geared towards like skin health. And ours will, but it also is geared towards immune health, cardiovascular health, mental health, and metabolic health. Okay, so it's all of those things. Okay, lots of different strains. Okay, so oils, which you're going to get one in the mail if I got your address. But this is probably anyone who's been in doTERRA for a really long time, our first love. And if you're going to use essential oils, I just tell people like use doTERRA. Okay. This company is just proven itself to me and to so many others time and time again to be trustworthy, and medical facilities choose to use doTERRA for good reason. There is in the essential oil world a lot of misinformation, I will say. And also, there's a lack of clinical trials. And we know there's a lack of clinical trials because clinical trials cost like literally millions of dollars to run. And if you can't patent something because it's a natural product, companies like Pfizer, Bayer, they're not going to pay to test a pure essential oil. From a scientific standpoint, doTERRA has started to run clinical trials small scale, okay, but it's exciting to me. And then also from a research standpoint, so like if you are doing things with cells and plates in a laboratory, because of doTERRA's consistency, batch to batch and bottle to bottle, studies with essential oils are actually able to happen now because you can get the same result twice. Before doTERRA, you never like people don't know what's in the bottles. Again, there's no regulations. And so if it's something different in the bottle every time, or like there's a filler, right, in varying amounts, you're going to get a different result in a lab. And so because of doTERRA, we're actually able to make strides now in the scientific community as to how these oils are working, the mechanisms, and all of that is just truly so fun to me. Also, the way that we source our oils is this isn't a lie. I think that was the thing that when I heard about Cointech sourcing and doTERRA's nonprofit, which is called the Healing Hands Foundation, at first, I was just like, oh, well, of course they're saying that. It sounds so good. And I've been with doTERRA now for 10 years. I have talked to the growers, the artisans. People on my own team have gone to Nepal, all right, on trips with doTERRA. And I've been to the Birch Distillery, which the only source of pure birch essential oil in the world is actually in northern PA. Okay. I think that that's amazing. So I've just seen it firsthand. Um, and the way that doTERRA does this is sustainable. And we have this tagline called tagline, sourcing the best and helping the most. So doTERRA has a nonprofit called the Healing Hands Foundation. That nonprofit will come into the regions of the world where we are doing sourcing the oils, and we will like build hospitals and stuff. The co-impact part in the partnerships that we have on the ground, this is not a nonprofit. This is actually a strategic business decision from doTERRA, because if we do not take care of the regions of the world where these plants are grown and the people who know them the most, the amount of people racing towards natural solutions and essential oils right now, we will run out. And so doTERRA has sustainable systems set up within the regions of the world where we source the oils from a business perspective. And I think that that's awesome because it's truly this is the way it should go. So the next 5 slides are, I'm going to run through like literally in 2 seconds. I just want to say, if you're struggling with a certain health concern, you can add it on to the foundational wellness packages. And when you do that, you're going to get a free diffuser in your first order. But whatever the health concern is, and that health concern like sleep, poor night's sleep, is adding to inflammation in your body, right? Whether it's you want to clean without toxins, you're struggling with sleep, maybe you're struggling with pain. All of these things are the thing that we can kind of like attack first to help get rid of the inflammation that is in our body. So doTERRA has a solution for you. So sleep, their solution works, okay? They have literally thought about it so much, clinical trial, it works. Anxiety and stress, these products, Adaptive and Balance, are truly amazing. Put them on your feet, roll them behind your ears, they work. Also, pain and discomfort, Deep Blue and Copaiba, powerful anti-inflammatory and really, really soothing products that help manage pain in our bodies. Immune boosting, that's a lot of moms run towards doTERRA for ways to manage sickness in their homes without having to run to the pediatrician. And On Guard and Breathe both like studied the mechanisms work, and they are anti-inflammatory and antiviral, and there's ways to use them. Also, aging and anti-aging and metabolism, doTERRA's collagen, it's not just collagen, it's got lots of ingredients in there. This product for me personally has been an amazing addition to my foundational wellness. I love it, and it tastes great too. Digestion is an issue that a lot of people struggle with, stress related or food related or both. These products also work. So when you start with the foundation in doTERRA, so all 3 of those foundational products are $149.50. Shipping is free every month. doTERRA actually will give you a free essential oil every time you order it, which I love. And the first order, you're going to get an extra bottle of peppermint and this awesome shaker bottle, which I already told you I don't really use, but you're going to get it and you might use it. So that's $149.50. And then when you add on, if you want to, a focused solution, you don't have to do that. But if you do that in your first order, you're going to get a free diffuser, which I think is like another perk. Okay, that's awesome. So these are the free oils that come every month. If you already have an account in doTERRA this month, Tea Tree is the one that you get for free. Super anti-inflammatory, like for allergies. It's a natural antihistamine, like I mentioned at the beginning of the class. It's also great for hair, skin, and nail health. So you want to keep it in your bathroom. And it's also just awesome for like respiratory, like throat infections, ear infections, those sorts of things. So I think that's all I have. Again, just lots of perks of getting started, being part of our community, endless amounts of education. You'll probably get overwhelmed, but that's okay because we love to help people. Oh, I always say this at the end of class. So there's always 3 types of women or men, humans, in every class I've ever taught. You might just be here for the products. If you are listening to me talk and you're already thinking about your sister's back pain and your nieces and nephews and their health, you're already thinking about others, okay? So you might want to consider sharing enough to get your own products paid for. And then a few of you might be wondering how much money I make doing this after 10 years. And so if you're thinking about income, I would encourage you to come. I'm doing a 30-minute like quick business overview. It's called the Path to $500. So $500 of income quickly within a couple of months of getting started with doTERRA. And that's happening tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So if that's something that you want the link for, text the person that got you here today and they will send you the link to that class. So again, 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'm going over that like fast and furious, and just a little bit more about the company to see if it's something that you'd be interested in partnering with us to have income coming into your family, both actively and passively, which is awesome. So I'm complete. That's it. I would love to take any questions that you guys might have. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, stop the recording, and there we go.